The emergency alarm rang through the Galactic Council chamber for the first time in 300 years. Council members from 40 different species stopped their conversations and turned toward the central display. Something had gone terribly wrong. Thelix, a tall being with silver skin and 4 eyes, stood up from his observer seat. As the Council's chief investigator, he knew that sound meant trouble. "Big trouble. What is happening?" asked Council Leader Vorn, his tentacles moving with worry. A junior officer, barely able to speak, brought up the communication logs. "Sir, we have received distress signals from the Zalkron Empire's subjugation fleet. They are retreating." The chamber fell silent. The Zalkrons were the strongest military force in the known galaxy. Their empire stretched across 47 star systems. They had never retreated, never. Retreating from what? Vorn demanded. "What enemy could possibly—" "Not an enemy, sir," the officer interrupted. Something that was almost never done in council meetings. "A primitive world. One that has not even achieved faster-than-light travel yet." Thelix felt his blood run cold. This made no sense. The Zalkrons had detailed protocols for dealing with primitive species. They would arrive, demonstrate their superior technology, and the primitives would surrender. It had worked on every single world they had ever contacted. "Show me the planet," Thelix said, moving closer to the display. The screen changed to show a small blue and green world orbiting a yellow star. The officer pulled up the basic information. The planet is called Earth by its inhabitants. They call themselves humans. Basic scans show they have primitive nuclear technology and have just begun exploring their own solar system. "Primitive nuclear technology," Vorn repeated slowly. "The Zalkrons should have overwhelmed them in hours." "What happened?" The officer pulled up the fleet communications. The room listened as panicked Zalkron voices filled the air. The words came through in fragments translated by the Council's systems. "They are not stopping. We destroyed 30 of their vessels and more keep coming. These creatures do not value their own lives. They crashed their ship directly into our flagship. Pull back, pull back. They have weapons we have never seen before." Thelix watched the tactical display. The Zalkron fleet, which had started with 200 warships, was down to less than half that number. They were running away from a planet that should not have been able to hurt them at all. "I must go there," Thelix announced. "I need to see what happened with my own eyes." Council Leader Vorn nodded. "Take a full investigation team. Find out what these humans did. And Thelix, be careful. If they could defeat the Zalkrons, they might be dangerous to anyone who approaches them." 3 days later, Thelix's ship arrived at the edge of Earth's solar system. He kept his ship's weapons powered down and sent a message on all frequencies. "This is Observer Thelix of the Galactic Council. I come in peace to investigate the recent conflict. I mean no harm." For 10 long minutes there was no response. Then a voice came through, speaking in one of Earth's primary languages. The translation system worked quickly. "This is Earth Defense Command. You will maintain your current position. Any movement toward our planet will be considered an act of war. We have your ship targeted." Thelix looked at his sensor officer, who checked the readings twice before speaking. "Sir, they are not bluffing. We have detected 17 weapons locked onto our position. The technology is... It appears to be modified Zalkron equipment. They reverse-engineered Zalkron technology in 3 days." Thelix could not believe it. Most species took years to understand alien technology, even with help. "That is what the reading suggests, sir." Thelix sent another message. "I understand your caution. I am here only to observe and learn what happened. The Galactic Council does not support the Zalkron attack on your world. We only wish to understand." Another long pause. Then the human voice returned. "You can approach, but only one ship. Any other vessels will be destroyed. Land at these coordinates." The coordinates led to a large open area surrounded by military installations. As Thelix's ship descended, he could see thousands of human soldiers watching. Their weapons were pointed at his ship. Behind them he could see massive vehicles and aircraft. Everything looked ready for war. When Thelix stepped out of his ship, a human wearing military decorations approached. The human was short compared to Thelix, but the way he moved showed confidence and strength. "I am General Patterson," the human said. "Welcome to Earth. I apologize for the weapons, but we have learned to be careful around aliens who show up uninvited." "I understand completely," Thelix replied. "Can you tell me what happened when the Zalkrons arrived?" Patterson smiled, but it was not a friendly smile. "They appeared in orbit 3 days ago. They sent a message saying we would surrender or be destroyed. They said our primitive weapons could not harm them. They said resistance was futile. And you attacked them? We defended ourselves. Patterson corrected. They fired first, destroying one of our orbital stations. Killed 300 people. The general's voice became harder. That was their mistake. Thelix needed to understand. But how? The Zalkrans have technology far beyond yours. Their shields should have protected them from your weapons. Patterson gestured toward a building. Let me show you something. Inside, Thelix saw pieces of Zalkran ships laid out on tables. Human scientists were examining every part, taking notes and running tests. In another room, he saw human weapons that had been modified with Zalkran technology. We have been preparing for this day for a long time, Patterson explained. We always knew we were not alone. We have been watching your ships pass through our system for years. We have been listening to your communications, learning your languages, studying your technology from a distance. But the Zalkrans made assumptions, Patterson interrupted. They assumed we were stupid because we had not traveled to the stars yet. They assumed we would be afraid. They assumed we had never fought a war before. He laughed, but there was no joy in it. We have fought wars for our entire history, sometimes against each other, sometimes against nature, sometimes against diseases you cannot imagine. We know how to fight. More importantly, we know how to adapt. Thelix felt a chill run through his body. What did you do to them? We studied their tactics during the first hour. We noticed their shields could not handle multiple simultaneous impacts, so we used our nuclear missiles in swarm formations. When they tried to retreat, we used some of their own weapons that we had captured. Patterson looked directly at Thelix with cold eyes. We made sure they understood that attacking Earth was a fatal mistake. The Galactic Council must know about this, Thelix said quietly. We assumed you would come eventually, Patterson replied. That is why we let you land. We want the Council to know that Earth is not defenseless. We want them to know that we will defend ourselves against any threat. He paused. And we want them to know that we are ready to talk. But we will only talk as equals, not as subjects. Thelix looked around at the busy military base, at the scientists studying alien technology, at the weapons being prepared. He understood now why the Zalkrans had fled. These humans were not like any species the galaxy had encountered before. I will deliver your message, Thelix promised. But I must warn you, the Council will not know how to respond to this. Patterson smiled again. Then they had better figure it out quickly, because whether they like it or not, humanity has just entered the galactic stage. Thelix stood before the Galactic Council 3 days after returning from Earth. Every seat in the massive chamber was filled. Representatives from hundreds of worlds wanted to hear about the species that had defeated the Zalkran Empire. Begin your report, Council Leader Vorn commanded. Thelix activated the holographic display. Images of Earth appeared in the center of the chamber. The species calls themselves humans. They live on a planet they call Earth. What happened with the Zalkrans was not luck. It was the result of humanity's entire evolutionary history. A Zalkran representative stood up, his face showing anger and shame. Impossible. We have conquered 47 worlds. How could primitives defeat us? Because they are not primitives in the way we understand the term, Thelix explained. He pulled up images of Earth's history. Every species in this council developed space travel to escape war, to find peace among the stars. Humans did the opposite. They developed their most advanced technology during what they call the Cold War, a period when two groups of humans built enough nuclear weapons to destroy their entire planet several times over. The chamber filled with shocked whispers. A representative from Keltor Prime spoke up. They built weapons to destroy their own world? What kind of species does that? A species that has never known peace, Thelix answered. He showed more images. In the last 3,000 years of recorded history, humans have fought over 14,000 wars. They have never experienced even one generation without conflict somewhere on their planet. More displays appeared, showing human weapons throughout history. Simple clubs and spears evolved into complex machines of war. The council watched in silence as Thelix showed them tanks, aircraft, missiles, and bombs. Look at their nuclear weapons, Thelix said, highlighting the data. When the Zalkrans attacked, they assumed these weapons were rare and difficult to use. Most species with nuclear technology have perhaps 10 or 20 such weapons, kept as deterrents. Humans built over 60,000 nuclear warheads at the peak of their Cold War. A council member from the peaceful Delphini world stood up, her voice shaking. 60,000? But But why? Because they were preparing to fight each other, Thelix said quietly. Two groups of humans both living on the same planet built enough weapons to end all life on their world. And they did this while also exploring space, curing diseases, and creating art. War is not separate from their culture. It is woven into everything they do. He changed the display to show human entertainment. Their movies and television shows often focus on conflict and war. Their music includes military marches. Their sports are designed to simulate combat. Even their children play games about battles and fighting. The Zalkron representative tried again, but their technology. Our shields should have stopped their weapons. Thelix pulled up the battle data. Your shields were designed to stop the kinds of weapons that other civilized species use. Humans do not fight like civilized species. When they discovered your shields could not handle multiple simultaneous impacts, they launched nuclear missiles in swarms, hundreds at a time. Your systems could not process that many targets. We tried to adapt, the Zalkron said defensively. And they adapted faster, Thelix replied. In 72 hours, humans reverse-engineered Zalkron plasma weapons and installed them on their own ships. Do you understand how remarkable that is? Most species need decades to understand alien technology. Humans did it in 3 days because they have spent thousands of years studying how to destroy things efficiently. Council leader Vorn leaned forward. What else did you learn about them? Thelix took a deep breath. They have no concept of acceptable losses. When I asked their general about the human ships that were destroyed, he said those crews knew the risks and accepted them. In total, humans lost 3,000 people in the battle against the Zalkrons. The general told me this was considered a light loss. The chamber erupted in shocked voices. 3,000 deaths were considered light? Most council species would surrender rather than accept even 100 casualties. There is more, Thelix continued. He pulled up historical records. Throughout their history, humans have used biological weapons against each other. They deliberately spread diseases. They brought insects that carry deadly illnesses to enemy territories. They poisoned water supplies. They created chemical weapons that cause horrible deaths. A representative from the Verdant Collective, a species that valued all life, stood up with tears in her large eyes. How can such a species exist? How did they not destroy themselves? That is the truly frightening part, Thelix said. They almost did. Multiple times, but each time they pulled back from the edge of extinction. They learned just enough restraint to survive, but not enough to stop fighting. They exist in a constant balance between creation and destruction. He showed images of human cities. Look at their architecture. Beautiful buildings standing next to military bases. Schools built near weapons factories. They live with war as a constant companion, something they accept as normal. Another council member asked, "What do they want?" "Surely they must want something if they let you leave alive. They want to be treated as equals," Thelix said. "They want a seat on the council. They want access to galactic trade routes. They want everything we have, and they made it clear they will take it by force if we do not offer it peacefully." The Zalkron representative laughed bitterly. "Let them try. We may have lost one battle, but the Empire has millions of soldiers across dozens of worlds. We will crush them." Thelix turned to face the Zalkron directly. "That is exactly what they hope you will do. While I was there, I saw their scientists studying your technology. I saw their military planning offensive operations. They have already identified the locations of 17 Zalkron colony worlds. They are preparing invasion plans." "Impossible! Those locations are classified. They intercepted your communications during the battle," Thelix explained. "They broke your encryption. They know where your colonies are, where your military bases are located, and what defenses you have." "And do you know what the general told me?" He said if the Zalkrons attack again, humans will not just defend. They will invade every Zalkron world and occupy them. The Zalkron representative sat down slowly, his face pale. Council leader Vorn spoke into the silence. "What is your assessment, Observer Thelix? Are these humans truly as dangerous as you suggest?" Thelix nodded. "More dangerous. I have studied their history extensively. There is a human saying, 'Peace is just the time between wars when everyone reloads.' That is how they think. They are always preparing for the next conflict. Always studying, always training, always ready." He pulled up one final image, a picture of Earth from space showing lights across the continents. "This is a planet that has never been united. Hundreds of different nations, thousands of different cultures, all competing with each other. Yet when the Zalkrons attacked, They put aside their differences in hours. Every human nation contributed to the defense. They fought as one species. What happens when they turn that unified focus outward? Asked a quiet voice from the back of the chamber. Thelix turned off the display and looked around at the gathered representatives. That is the question we must answer, and I believe we have very little time to decide. The humans are not patient. They will not wait long for our response. What do you recommend? Forn asked. I recommend we give them what they want, Thelix said. A council seat, trade rights, and full diplomatic recognition. Because the alternative is war with a species that has spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of combat. A species that builds weapons capable of destroying planets and does not hesitate to use them. A species that considers 3,000 casualties to be acceptable losses. The chamber fell silent. Every representative understood what Thelix was really saying. Humanity was unlike any species they had ever encountered, and the galaxy would never be the same again. The emergency session of the Galactic Council continued for 3 days. During that time, research teams from every major species analyzed every piece of information they could find about humanity. What they discovered made the initial report seem almost gentle. Thelix returned to the council chamber on the 4th day, with a team of xenobiologists, historians, and military analysts. The chamber was packed with representatives who looked worried and exhausted. We have completed our deep analysis of human history and culture, Thelix began. What we have found troubles us greatly. He activated the display again. Let us start with how other species developed space travel. The Keltor people built their first spacecraft to escape their dying star. The Delphini created space travel to explore peacefully. The Verdant Collective reached for the stars to spread life to barren worlds. Every species here developed space technology as a positive goal. The images changed to show human spacecraft. Humans developed their space program during their Cold War. The two major human powers raced to space not for exploration, but for military advantage. They wanted the high ground. They wanted to put weapons in orbit. Even their earliest satellites were designed to spy on enemies or guide nuclear missiles. A xenobiologist named Dr. Kilvin stepped forward. She was from a species known for their careful analysis and calm demeanor. But even she looked disturbed. The biological aspects are equally concerning. We examined human evolution and physiology. Humans are persistence hunters. On their world, they would chase prey for hours, sometimes days, until the animal collapsed from exhaustion. They can run for longer distances than almost any other creature on their planet. She pulled up comparative data. Most intelligent species evolved from prey animals or peaceful herbivores. Humans evolved from hunters. Their eyes face forward for tracking prey. Their teeth include sharp canines for tearing meat. Their sweat glands allow them to cool down while running, something most animals cannot do. They are literally built for endurance warfare. Another scientist added more information. Their pain tolerance is remarkable. We found records of human soldiers continuing to fight with injuries that would incapacitate any of our species. There are documented cases of humans fighting effectively after losing limbs with broken bones, even with severe internal damage. They have a chemical in their brains called adrenaline that allows them to ignore pain and injury during combat. Council leader Vorn looked sick. Are you saying they are biologically designed for war? Not just biologically, Thelix said.
Culturally, psychologically, and technologically as well.
Let me show you something specific. He pulled up records of human conflicts. In their year 1945, humans developed nuclear weapons. The very first thing they did was use them, twice, on cities full of civilians. Over 200,000 people died instantly, the chamber filled with gasps and horrified whispers. But surely that was a unique situation? Someone asked hopefully. Thelix shook his head. It was the beginning of a pattern. Humans test their weapons on themselves. They deliberately exposed their own soldiers to radiation to study its effects. They tested chemical weapons on volunteers. They created diseases in laboratories and studied how they spread. No other species has done this. We develop weapons reluctantly as last resorts. Humans develop weapons enthusiastically and test them thoroughly. A military analyst from the Forge world stepped up. His species had the strongest military after the Zalkrans. I have studied human military doctrine and strategy. It is unlike anything we have encountered. Most species follow similar patterns. Defend territory, minimize casualties, achieve specific objectives. Humans have developed something they call total war. He pulled up historical examples. In their Second World War, entire populations were mobilized for combat. Factories that made civilian goods were converted to weapon production. Scientists who studied peaceful subjects were put to work on military projects. Every resource of entire nations was devoted to destroying the enemy. The concept of total war appears repeatedly in human history. The analyst continued. They have destroyed entire cities, burned complete forests, poisoned vast areas of land. And this was when they fought each other with primitive technology. Imagine what they could do with access to galactic weapons. Thelix showed more data. There is something else that concerns us. Human psychological warfare. They do not just fight with weapons, they fight with fear, propaganda, and deception. During my visit, they showed me their entertainment media. They have thousands of movies about alien invasions where humans always win, thousands of books about galactic wars, thousands of video games where players simulate space combat. So their entertainment is violent, a council member said. Many species have aggressive fiction. You do not understand, Thelix replied. This is not just entertainment. It is training. Human children grow up playing games about war. They read stories about defeating aliens. They watch movies about survival against impossible odds. By the time they become adults, they have mentally rehearsed thousands of combat scenarios. They have been preparing for galactic war their entire lives without even knowing it. Dr. Kilvin added more disturbing findings. We also discovered something about human creativity and innovation. They apply the same ingenuity to weapons that other species apply to art or science. During their First World War, they invented tanks, poison gas, flamethrowers, and aerial bombs within just a few years. Each side would develop a new weapon, and the other side would develop a counterweapon within months. Their rate of innovation during wartime is extraordinary, she continued. From the beginning to the end of their Second World War, their technology advanced more rapidly than most species achieve in centuries. War drives their innovation in ways we cannot fully comprehend. Thelix pulled up information about human space exploration. Look at their current space program. They have proposals for weapons we have never imagined. Kinetic bombardment using simple metal rods dropped from orbit. Asteroid redirection as a weapon. Laser networks. Autonomous combat drones. Nuclear-powered spacecraft designed for fast military response. And these are just the ideas they are willing to share publicly. How did we not know about this species before? Demanded a council member. Because we were not looking, Thelix admitted. Earth is in a relatively isolated area of space. Their radio signals have not traveled far enough to reach most civilized worlds, and we had no reason to study them closely. They appeared to be just another primitive species that would develop slowly over thousands of years. We thought we had plenty of time before they became relevant. But the Zalkrans attacked them, Vorn said. Yes. And in doing so, they accelerated human development by decades, perhaps centuries. The Zalkrans gave humans access to faster-than-light technology, advanced weapons, and a target for their aggression. It was the worst possible mistake. A representative from a peaceful species asked a question in a quiet voice. Is there anything good about these humans? Anything that suggests they might be peaceful? Thelix paused. Yes, actually. That is perhaps the most confusing part. Humans are capable of remarkable kindness and cooperation. They create beautiful art and music. They help each other during disasters. They form deep emotional bonds. They love their families intensely. They have developed philosophy and ethics. Some of their greatest leaders have preached peace and nonviolence. Then perhaps, the representative began hopefully. But it does not matter, Thelix interrupted, because even the most peaceful humans will fight when threatened. And they defined threatened very broadly. The Zalkrans attacked one orbital station. The human response was to destroy half the Zalkron fleet. That is not a proportional response. That is a warning. He pulled up a message that humans had sent to the Zalkron homeworld after the battle. This is what General Patterson transmitted. We did not start this war, but we will finish it. You attacked us once. If you attack us again, we will not stop at your fleet. We will come to your worlds. We will occupy your colonies. We will make your empire kneel. This is not a threat. This is a promise. The chamber was silent. Everyone understood the implications. The humans are coming, Thelix said simply. The only question is whether they come as friends or as conquerors. And I believe we have very little time to influence that decision. Every day we delay is another day they spend building weapons, studying our weaknesses, and preparing for war. Council Leader Vorn looked around at the assembled representatives. Then we must vote. Do we invite humanity to join the Galactic Council, or do we try to contain them? Contain them how? Asked the Zolkron representative bitterly. We tried that. It did not work. Then we vote on acceptance, Vorn decided. But first, there is one more thing we must discuss. If we accept humanity into the Council, what rules can we impose? What limits can we set? Thelix laughed, but there was no humor in it. Limits? Council leader, I do not think you understand. We cannot limit humanity. We can only hope to guide them, and pray that they choose to be our allies rather than our conquerors. The voting would begin tomorrow, but everyone in the chamber already knew what the result would be. Fear would win over pride. Survival would triumph over principle. The galaxy would accept humanity, not because it wanted to, but because it had no other choice. General Patterson stood in the war room deep beneath the North American Defense Command. Around him, military leaders from every major nation on Earth studied holographic displays showing the Zolkron Empire's territory. 3 weeks had passed since the first attack, and humanity was ready to respond. Are we sure about this? Asked General Zhang from the Eastern Coalition. We won the battle. The Zolkrons are retreating. Why pursue them? Patterson pulled up tactical data. Because they will come back. Maybe not this year or next year, but eventually. They have too much pride to accept defeat from what they consider primitives. We need to make sure they never think about attacking Earth again. Admiral Okafor from the African Union nodded. The general is right. We have analyzed their communications. They are regrouping, studying what went wrong, preparing for another attack. They think we got lucky. Let them think that, Patterson said with a cold smile. Meanwhile, we have been busy. He changed the display to show human progress over the past 3 weeks. The room filled with gasps as the officers saw what had been accomplished. Dozens of captured Zolkron ships had been fully reverse-engineered. Human scientists had not just copied the technology, they had improved it. Our new fusion drives are 30% more efficient than Zolkron designs, reported Dr. Sarah Chen, the lead scientist on the project. Their energy weapons are powerful, but they have poor targeting systems. We have fixed that. And they're faster than light drives? We made them faster. Patterson pulled up ship designs. We have retrofitted 200 of our existing military vessels with Zolkron technology. We have also built 50 new ships designed specifically for space combat. They incorporate everything we learned from the battle, plus improvements our engineers developed. How is this possible? Asked General Petrov from the Northern Alliance. 3 weeks ago, we had never seen their technology. Dr. Chen smiled. Because we have been preparing for this moment for decades. Every science fiction writer, every military strategist, every engineer who ever dreamed about space combat, they all contributed ideas. When we finally saw real alien technology, we already had theories about how it might work. We just needed to test them. Patterson continued the briefing. We also sent stealth probes to 17 Zolkron colony worlds. We have complete intelligence on their military capabilities, population centers, and defense systems. More importantly, we have identified their homeworld. The display zoomed to show a large planet orbiting a red star. This is Zalkros Prime, population 4 billion. Military installations 317. Orbital defense platforms 52. It is the heart of their empire. You want to attack their homeworld? Zhang asked, his voice showing concern. I want to give them a choice, Patterson corrected. They can apologize, pay reparations for the lives they took, and agree to leave Earth alone forever. Or we go to them. Admiral Okafor studied the tactical display. Even with our improvements, attacking their homeworld would be risky. They will have defensive advantages we cannot fully predict, which is why we will not attack immediately, Patterson said. First, we send them a message. But not just any message. We are going to use psychological warfare. He pulled up a communication plan. We have hacked into their computer networks. It took our cyber teams less than a week to break their encryption. Now we have access to their media systems, their military communications, everything. What will we send them? Asked General Zhang. Dr. Chen took over the presentation. We will broadcast a package of information designed to terrify them. First, we will show them our history, every major war, every weapon we have ever developed, every horror we have inflicted on ourselves. We want them to understand what we are capable of. Second, Patterson added, we will show them our entertainment. Our movies about alien invasions where humans always win. Our video games where players destroy alien empires. Our books about galactic conquest. We want them to see that we have been mentally preparing for this war for generations. Admiral Okafor smiled grimly. Psychological warfare. Make them afraid before we ever fire a shot. Exactly, Patterson confirmed. But there is more. We will also broadcast our demands. A formal apology from the Zalkron Emperor himself. Reparations of 10 trillion credits for the families of those killed. Complete access to their technology and star charts. And a treaty guaranteeing they will never approach Earth again. What if they refuse? Petrov asked. Patterson's expression hardened. Then we show them what total war means. We will not just defeat their fleet. We will occupy their colonies. We will blockade their homeworld. We will make their entire empire submit, and we will do it in a way that every other species in the galaxy will hear about. We will make an example of the Zalkrans that no one will ever forget. The room fell silent as the officers absorbed the magnitude of what Patterson was proposing. This was not just a defensive action. This was a declaration that humanity would not be pushed around by anyone. There is one more thing, Dr. Chen said quietly. We have been analyzing the Galactic Council's communications. We know they are debating what to do about us. We know they are afraid. That fear is useful, but we need to be careful. If we appear too aggressive, they might unite against us. Which is why we frame everything as self-defense, Patterson explained. The Zalkrans attacked us. We are simply ensuring they cannot do it again. Every action we take is justified as protection of our homeworld. We are not conquerors. We are defenders who happen to be very, very good at our job. General Zhang nodded slowly. It is a dangerous game. We are walking a thin line between showing strength and appearing as monsters. That is why we include the diplomatic option, Patterson said. We offer them a peaceful way out. If they take it, we look reasonable. If they do not, then everything that follows is their choice. Admiral Okafor stood up. I say we proceed. The Zalkrans need to learn that attacking Earth was a fatal mistake, and the rest of the galaxy needs to learn that humanity is not to be trifled with. The other officers agreed one by one. The plan was approved. 2 days later, every screen on every Zalkron world suddenly changed. The broadcast began with images of Earth, a beautiful blue planet that looked peaceful and inviting. Then the images changed to show human history. Wars, weapons, destruction on a scale the Zalkrans had never imagined. The Zalkron people watched in growing horror as humans demonstrated nuclear weapons, biological warfare, chemical attacks. They saw soldiers fighting in conditions that should have killed them. They saw pilots crashing planes into enemy ships deliberately. They saw submarine crews accepting certain death to complete their missions. Then came the entertainment. Movies showing alien invasions being defeated by determined humans. Video games where players commanded fleets to destroy alien empires. Books about humanity spreading across the galaxy, conquering every species they encountered. The message was clear. Humans had been preparing for this war for their entire history. This was what they did. This was what they were good at. Finally came the demands. The Zalkran Emperor himself appeared on screens across the empire, forced to listen as human voices explained exactly what would happen if the demands were not met. Every military installation identified, every colony world mapped, every defense system analyzed and countered. You have 72 hours to respond, General Patterson's voice echoed across the Zalkran Empire. Accept our terms or we come to you, and when we come we will not stop until your empire kneels. This is not negotiable. This is not a bluff. This is a promise from a species that has spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war. On Earth, in the war room, Patterson and his team waited. They had done everything possible to avoid further bloodshed, while making their position absolutely clear. Now it was up to the Zalkrans to decide. Do you think they will surrender? Dr. Chen asked. Patterson studied the displays showing Zalkron territory. Their pride says no. Their survival instinct says yes. We will find out which is stronger. 60 hours later, a message arrived from Zalkros Prime. The Zalkran Emperor appeared on screen, his expression showing defeat and humiliation. We accept your terms, he said simply. The Empire apologizes for the attack on Earth. Reparations will be paid. We will provide full access to our technology and star charts. And we swear by our ancestors that we will never approach your world again. The war room erupted in cheers, but Patterson remained calm. This was just the beginning. The Zalkrans had surrendered, but the rest of the galaxy was watching. They had seen Earth defeat the strongest military power in known space. They had seen human determination and human ruthlessness. "Send a response," Patterson ordered. "Accept their surrender gracefully. Tell them we look forward to peaceful relations. Make it clear that we are reasonable people who simply defend ourselves effectively." As the message was prepared, Admiral Okafor approached Patterson. "What now, General?" "The Galactic Council will contact us soon." Patterson smiled. "Now we prepare for the next phase. The Zalkrans were just the first test. The real challenge is making the rest of the Galactic Council chamber had never been so crowded. Representatives from every known species filled the seats, while thousands more watched through holographic feeds. Today was the day they would vote on whether to invite humanity to join the Council. More importantly, it was the day they would officially acknowledge that the galaxy had changed forever. Thalix stood at the center of the chamber, preparing to deliver the final report before the vote. Behind him, screens showed images of Earth and the recent events. The Zalkran surrender had been broadcast across the galaxy, and every species had seen what humanity was capable of. "Members of the Council," Thalix began, "we face a decision that will shape the future of galactic civilization. The question before us is simple. Do we invite humanity to join us, or do we attempt to isolate them?" Council Leader Vorn spoke from his elevated platform. "Observer Thalix, you have studied these humans more than anyone. What is your recommendation?" Thalix took a deep breath. "I recommend immediate acceptance. Not because I believe humans are peaceful. They are not. Not because I think they will follow our rules. They will not. But because I believe that having them inside our alliance is far safer than having them outside it." A murmur ran through the chamber. The Zalkran representative, looking diminished and humiliated, stood up. "They destroyed half our fleet and forced our emperor to surrender. They are aggressive and dangerous. Why would we allow such a species into our council?" "Because they are coming anyway," Thalix replied bluntly. "The only question is whether they come as members or as conquerors. After studying their history and culture, I believe that humans constrained by diplomatic relations and trade agreements are less dangerous than humans who feel threatened or excluded." A representative from the Delphini worlds raised a tentacle. "But surely we can defend ourselves. We have millions of ships across hundreds of worlds. Humanity has only their one planet." Thalix pulled up tactical analyses. "You are thinking like a civilized species. Humans do not think that way. They do not count ships or calculate acceptable losses. They fight with total commitment. If we go to war with them, they will not stop until they win, or until they are completely destroyed. There is no middle ground with humans." "That sounds like a weakness," suggested a military officer from the Forge worlds. "It is both their weakness and their strength," Thalix explained. "Yes, they risk everything when they fight. But that also means they fight with an intensity we cannot match. While we would be calculating costs and planning strategic retreats, they would be throwing everything they have at us, adapting, innovating, and never stopping." Dr. Kilvin stepped forward to support Thalix's argument. "We have also analyzed what happens when humans are given diplomatic options. Throughout their history, when treated with respect, humans can be remarkably cooperative. They form strong alliances. They honor their treaties. They engage in mutually beneficial trade. But when they feel disrespected or threatened, they become the most dangerous species imaginable." "So we accept them out of fear?" asked a council member with disgust. "We accept them out of wisdom," Thalix corrected. "Fear is part of it, yes. But also pragmatism. Humans have technology and strategies we can learn from. Their rate of innovation is extraordinary. Their determination is unmatched. As members of the Council, they could be valuable allies. As enemies, they would be nightmares." Council Leader Vorn looked around the chamber. "Are there any other opinions before we vote?" A small figure stood up in the back. It was Ambassador Krell from the Harmony Collective, one of the oldest and most peaceful species in the galaxy. Her voice was soft but clear. "I have a question for Observer Thalix. You speak of human violence and aggression, but did you see anything that suggests they might be capable of peace?" Thalix paused, remembering his time on Earth. "Yes, actually. I saw human children playing without any thought of war. I saw artists creating beautiful works. I saw scientists working to cure diseases. I spoke with philosophers who dreamed of peace. Humans are not just warriors, they are also poets, teachers, healers, and dreamers. Then perhaps there is hope, Ambassador Krell said gently. Perhaps, Thelix agreed. But we should not mistake their capacity for peace with a lack of capacity for war. Humans can be both. They can create beauty and destroy worlds. They can show mercy and show ruthlessness. Understanding this duality is crucial to dealing with them effectively. Vorn called for the vote. All those in favor of extending an invitation to humanity to join the Galactic Council? The chamber filled with lights as representatives cast their votes. When the count was complete, the result was clear. 847 in favor, 124 against, 33 abstaining. Humanity would be invited to join the council. The measure passes, Vorn announced. We will send an official delegation to Earth with the invitation. Observer Thelix, will you lead this delegation? Thelix bowed. It would be my honor. Then prepare your ship. You leave tomorrow. 3 days later, Thelix's diplomatic vessel approached Earth. This time, he was not alone. Ships from a dozen different species accompanied him, each one carrying ambassadors eager to establish relations with humanity, or at least eager to avoid being on humanity's bad side. As they entered Earth's orbit, they could see the changes that had occurred in just a few weeks. Human shipyards floated in space, building new vessels. Defense satellites orbited the planet. Mining operations had begun on Earth's moon and on several asteroids. Humanity was expanding rapidly. The landing coordinates directed them to a massive facility built specifically for this occasion. As Thelix's shuttle descended, he could see thousands of humans gathered to watch. News cameras broadcast the moment across Earth and, through human transmissions across the galaxy. General Patterson waited at the landing pad, but this time he wore a formal diplomatic uniform rather than combat gear. Beside him stood representatives from Earth's major nations, all dressed for ceremony rather than war. Welcome back, Observer Thelix, Patterson said as the alien delegation emerged, and welcome to your colleagues. Earth is honored to receive the Galactic Council's delegation. Thelix presented the official invitation. On behalf of the Galactic Council, I invite humanity to join our alliance of civilized species. We offer you full membership, access to galactic trade routes, and participation in all council decisions. Patterson accepted the document with appropriate gravity. Then he smiled. We accept, of course. Earth looks forward to peaceful cooperation with all council species. The ceremony continued with speeches and formal exchanges. But Thelix noticed the military personnel standing at attention around the perimeter. He noticed the weapons, carefully concealed but definitely present. He noticed the way human security forces watched every alien carefully. Later, during a private meeting, Patterson spoke more candidly. We appreciate the Council's invitation. We truly do want peace. But I want to make sure everyone understands our position. Which is? Thelix asked. We will be equal partners, not junior members, Patterson said firmly. We will participate in decisions. We will have access to all technology and information. We will not be treated as primitives who need guidance. We have proven ourselves in battle. Now we expect to be treated with the respect we have earned. Thelix nodded. I will communicate this to the Council. There is one more thing, Patterson added. We have been analyzing galactic security. Your defense systems have significant weaknesses. Your response times are too slow. Your sensor networks have gaps. Your military forces are spread too thin. Are you criticizing the Council? Thelix asked carefully. I am offering to help, Patterson replied. We are good at defense. Very good. We have identified 47 major vulnerabilities in Council space. We would like to help you address them. Thelix felt a chill. In one sentence, Patterson had made two things clear. Humans had already analyzed galactic defenses, and they had found dozens of ways to attack if they chose to. But by offering to help fix these problems, Patterson was also signaling that humans preferred cooperation to conquest. The Council would appreciate any assistance, Thelix said diplomatically. Patterson smiled. Excellent. We will send our military advisors to work with Council forces. We will share our defensive strategies. And in return, we hope to learn from your technologies and your experiences. The meeting concluded with agreements for further discussions. As Theli prepared to return to his ship, he reflected on what had just happened. Humanity had joined the Galactic Council, but on their own terms. They had made it clear they would be partners, not subordinates. Back on Earth, in the war room, Patterson met with his command staff. "How did it go?" Admiral Okafor asked. "Exactly as planned," Patterson replied. "They invited us in, we accepted, and we made sure they understand we are not to be taken lightly." Dr. Chen pulled up new projects. "The science teams are already working with alien researchers. We are learning their technology while sharing selected human innovations. It is a fair exchange. For now," General Zhang added. "But we should remain vigilant. Not all Council species will be happy about human membership. Some may try to test us." Thank you for watching and comment for next part.